Well, hello, and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy podcast channel. My name is Jed. How are you going? Making sure I got enough light on me. There we go. It has been a few days since our last episode. So let's do a quick review and, that's too much light. And let's see if we can finish the book, finish the dialogue part of the book today. How exciting for us. So, we, at the time of recording, the World Cup has just finished. Yay for Spain. And in the interest of the World Cup, let's do a World Cup table of all of the key ideas we've brought together in the last few episodes so that we can make clear where we are and make clear the question that we're carrying. After all, to carry a question as we read is to be on a quest. And that's the quest noise. So let's do that now. Let's jump in. Here is the board, half of it. So a quick review and then let's finish the book. Well, the section that we're on, because there is a secret section at the end of the book that we can jump into as well. So, we have discovered that there is an X and Y button. That's the metaphor we're using, that we can make use of as human beings or intelligent beings at this stage of development, that we call the logos and ousia, our capacity for reason and language and our capacity for self-reflection. Now, there are the first two teams in the tournament. Now, on this, so you could say this is the west and the east side of the tournament, or Mexico and Canada. Anyway, you get the idea. We have seen that we make use of key terms that we call the selfers, and their relationships. So we have been doing a lot of work in nailing down those key terms and organizing them in diagrams so we can see the relationships. We've been talking a lot about the two necklaces of the duad. Anyway, let's not get into that yet. So logos and ousia makes use of key terms and relationships and does so in the key activities of analogy and dialectic. So we could say that's the next stage. These two play the soccer match together, and then these two play the soccer match together. Next stage down. What? That's not the right button. Let's do that. And then next level down, we have so we use these to fulfill certain activities. That is our purpose at being alive in time, with the capacity for reason and self-reflection. We can use We can make use of those in this way with this activity in order to do what? In order to give rise to questions. Questions about understanding itself as a whole, and questions about understanding a part or a specific idea or aspect. These are two kinds of questions that we have to nurture within ourselves. What is understanding as a whole? What is that model of understanding that we all participate in? Hey, isn't it interesting that understanding solves problems? If you understand why your toaster is broken, you can fix it. On the low level, as an analogy, if you understand your human problems that you face, why you can fix them. What is understanding then? By the way, that's one of the axioms that we have to be carrying. Problems are in principle solvable. But hey, not only that, understanding being a use of the mind that can function in that beneficial way to solve problems must have its own universal existence. What is that? We don't have to kill anyone for understanding, or the model has to be universal, be eternal, be the same for any human being at any time in any culture, or any intelligent species can participate in this. You don't have to be a billionaire. You don't have to be a gold club member. You don't even have to be a human being. You can participate in this model of mind you can know it as a whole. That's the experience of knowing. And if you both experience it, or to whatever level that you can experience it, and you understand its parts, that's what we make use of in understanding. So those key terms, whole and part, same and different, like and unlike, beauty, excellence, justice, greater, lesser, whole or greater, lesser, ultimate, all of these things are non-physical. They apply to the physical world, and they're also the building blocks of understanding. Those are the Lego pieces that we make use of whenever we think rationally, whenever we do good with our brains. So what is that? What is understanding itself? Now, any one of those aspects or terms could be the one that motivates you in particular. What specific aspect are you most curious about? Is it beauty? Is it justice? Is it being? Is it the soul? Is it why you're here? Is it why you're here in this place, this part of history, this part of the world? So those are the two, the whole and the part, understanding as a whole, and understanding or a specific aspect of understanding that can be a question that you're curious about. In the book, we see understanding as a whole seems to be being demonstrated by Mr. Joseph, and Aaliyah has a specific question herself. We're also here to give birth to a question about belief. If understanding is the source of our excellence and the activity we engage in to solve problems, it seems from our reading that belief is its opposite, the cause of problems and what blocks our excellence. So how can we, what is belief itself? And of course, what is your specific or belief as a whole, belief itself? And what is your specific flavor? What specific false belief about self and reality did you develop from your early teachers in your childhood that has been, that you are here to specifically address as your soul? So it ties into what we talked about with Aaliyah's question. Why here? Why now? Were you born in a way that would give rise to this specific fundamental false belief about yourself and reality that has been the cause of all of your problems and your projections, your blind spots, the injustice that you have caused, and the injustice that you suffered when you learned it? You're specific. We call that our specific pathologos. So those are the 4 kinds of questions that we apply these terms to, making use of these 2 capacities that we have as intelligent beings. So that's how we get the questions, but how do we get the answers? Well, these questions arise from and are answered through our reading. Our reading. Our reading. The logos-based texts. So from the authors that we read that are masters of the logos themselves. We're not reading Harry Potter. Logos texts. And as you read, you might have specific insights or puzzlement about specific ideas through your reading. The puzzlement and the doubt we have to go through as part of the journey of understanding. As we apply analogy and dialectic to the text to understand it, and look for the key terms and their relationships in the book, including analogies, like the key characters or the key, the scene of the book, or the pieces of furniture or metaphors and states of mind and things. Also, our reading specifically about belief and about the nature of belief. So books that talk about belief or the pathologos texts. Belief or pathologos texts. And as we read, how do we surface these specific pathologos beliefs that block our development, that are the clues about our own unsuspected fundamental false idea, false belief about self and reality that we are carrying, that causes our projections, our interpretations, our blocks, our problems, both in our everyday world, but also in our dreams, in our daydreams, in our distractions, in our fantasies, in our tangents. As we read, as we do our reading, it's not the text, but just as we surface our own individual insights or puzzlements, we surface our own blocks. Or negative self-talk. So, as we've been taking notes of what we've been reading, hopefully you've been keeping some sort of notebook or journal of the sorts of thoughts that come up. You can't do it. You are too stupid. You're a dumb broad. As we have been reading, you might have a thought that comes up and says, hey, don't do this. Philosophy is smelly. And it might say,
I'm so unsettled. I am so unsettled.
It might say that you're so unsettled. It might say,
like literally, suck my dick.
It might tell you to do that.
Whoa, lady, shut up, please.
It might tell you to shut up, lady.
Dumb bitch.
It might call you a dumb bitch. So, none of those things are true. So, as we're learning the true nature about self and reality from the text, we surface the negative, blocking ideas, images, words, self-talk, relationships that we carry that tell us the opposite. And its job is to protect itself from, understanding the sort of self-defensive or the self-protecting mechanism of our problems and blocks. Because the more you learn, the more you'll be able to free yourself from your problems. And if beliefs want to sustain themselves, they have to, will get you to give up on that activity. Isn't that interesting? We don't listen to it, because why listen to a stupid person who is a bad ruler, who is lying to you? That's a lesson we learn from capitalism, conservatives, and religion. Never listen to the people who claim false belief as the expertise, which is, of course, the theme of the book. So as we learn, as we read about beliefs themselves in reading the book, is it all relative? Is truth or expertise or leadership relative to personal beliefs? What happens in the dialogue that we've been reading? So too, you will surface your own. The footprints. The fingerprints of, or the footprints of, your own way of treating yourself, listening to belief as the rulership of your soul. So that's the next level down. On the way to the World Cup of the soul. So you might say this is the round of 16. So you have the opening round, the next round, the round of 16 in the World Cup. Because as we read about them, we have been learning, hey, truth isn't enough. We also have to make use of, it's logos and ousia, isn't it? It's truth and humanness. There has to be a guide, our dreams. So we've been looking specifically at how we get more information and make use of our limiting beliefs. That's, of course, dreams. So especially with this, or making use of all of these, but in particular, addressing your specific false beliefs that you are curious about dreams. Pathologos. Dreams are the most common. So most common dream that we get are about our specific false beliefs that block us. But dreams themselves guide us in every one of these 4 activities. So it's ultimately reading and dreams. And as dreams play a super important role in, because while you can be reading about understanding as a whole, and texts can talk about specific ideas like justice or beauty, or this book, leadership, rulership, and it can demonstrate the nature of belief. No book is going to give you specific information about your specific pathologos. You will only get that through dreams. And Socrates also says this in book 9 of the Republic. He says it a few times, but you'll only get the specific information and content you need to address your specific false beliefs through dream analysis. Which may be why the pathologos class of dreams is the most important. So, everything that we have been learning from round 1, everything we've been learning about logos and ousia, we make use of with the key terms and relationships of the logos terms or selfers. It's been a while since I've been on this, so I'm getting used to the audio here. How much compression do I want on here? Maybe a little bit more. We'll see. Right, so the terms, relationships, and the activity that makes use of the logos, analogy, and dialectic, so that we can surface these kinds of questions, and we answer them, or we surface them and answer them by applying these terms and activities to our texts and to our dreams. And as our dreams is a guide for all of it, it's the last round of the finals. Therefore, what have we seen? Well, we've seen there's an interesting structure developing. So how do we specifically make use of analogy? Well, we have metaphor, which is using the idea of same in relation to itself. We have similes, states of mind. What are they like? Similes, which has some sameness and some difference. Sameness and some difference. We have allegory. In the structure of the text and the structure of our dreams, there is meaning being conveyed. Allegory. That when approached through color, approached analogically and through analogy, when approached through analogy, you can see there's a meaning in even the structure or the drama of your book, of your dreams. And of course, we saw that there is ultimately two kinds of analogies that we play out in our goals. The anagogic, or the stagnant or redundant analogy as our goal. The redundant is the functioning of belief. A is to B. Our earliest teacher, usually a parent, is to us as we play out the same injustice to others. The axiom, do unto others the injustice that was done unto you. Or the true anagogic analogy, as we are learning from the expert of this book, so too we as that B term can teach others. So we have 4 terms. Another way of saying that is, well, okay, let's go back to here. So we can understand that metaphor, the same idea is the same as that. That's what a metaphor is. You are a pig. Don't say that to people.
He's so far up his own ass.
Because they might say that.
Like, literally, suck my dick, dude.
Literally.
You just attacked my person. You just harmed
you just
my
harmed
body.
my body. Allegory, so those differences can be expressed in different ways within the drama. And finally, as a result of that story or as a result of your life, how do you, as a result of going through those differences, how do you relate back to the sameness? So this is sameness and difference. Now, this idea of sameness and difference also plays out within these, the cognitive functions, because understanding as a whole is the sameness of the greater. So we would say, greater sameness. Understanding a specific aspect, greater difference. So the metaphor in the book was the doctor has to relate to sameness, the same universal model of health for all people, but also has to recognize the differences so he can relate the differences within the different parts or differences, so that he can relate to the lesser sameness. That is, people who are, what's the lesser sameness? Imitation. People who are, for us, in mind, so people in this redundant analogy are doing lesser sameness. In the lesser realm of physical appearances, they are copying, they're imitating the physical sameness. They can only do this one activity. What we've been saying, when all you can do is hammer, the whole world is a nail. So that's where people learn belief, which means that if we want to address the injustice in yourself, we have to find the person you've been imitating. So the specific blocks that arise will be messages about a way of treating yourself that you are imitating. If we want to address the problems in society, well, who are the people who claim expertise via belief? That's the lesser sameness, the cause of human problems. Religion, I get to, pick a religion. We always pick on Mormons because, I don't know, just do. They have their crazy gooning underpants.
Goon.
I saw a documentary come up on my feed this morning of someone talking about the horrors of the Mormon cult and how she escaped. Of course. Why? Because the leader of that Mormon cult claims rulership based on belief, and that's, of course, ignorance, sadism, all of the opposite of greater sameness. So, truth, goodness, and what's the other one? Unity always causes division, always causes harm, always lying. That's belief. But if we want to address the groups that are sweeping death and destruction across our species and planet, and any species and any planet, we have to recognize that's belief. And we have to find who is who are they imitating? Was Elon Musk's the racist Nazi? Was his dad a racist Nazi? Trump the pedophile scam artist? Was his dad that? What do you know? Why? So we can use our expertise understanding the models of understanding and belief and its aspects, so we can relate to people who are stuck in belief, doing harm. Yourself, people that you care about, and if you have that job, people who are affecting our species, bringing it to, inflicting sadistic destruction and will bring our species to extinction. And also we can relate to the differences. By lesser, we mean in the world of becoming, or the physical world. So by having the what we call the greater sameness, or the model or the whole, and its parts or aspects, we can relate to different people. Unlike the surgeon who's only imitating, he will only do the same surgery. Like those con artists that someone comes in with an illness and they're a spiritual healer, and their solution is, well, I can do this one magic trick. I can pretend to pull out your spleen, or I can make a jewelry appear. Does that work? How's that going to work? Well, it's the one thing I can do. Or, Mormons. I can sleep with my cousins and have 20 wives. How does that solve our problems? I don't know. That's all I can do, because that's all I'm imitating. Have we noticed a pattern unfolding? So, analogy. We also want to make use of the dialectic. Dialectic. So the dialectic that we're applying to get these questions, that to read these books and to understand our dreams. Color. Let's use this one. Definition. Or the subject in relation to itself, the subject in relation to others, demonstration. How that functioning affects other things in divisions. And as a result of that activity, what key idea do you synthesize that you can relate back to the beginning, relate back to the subject or conclusion? Conclusion. And we apply this to dreams, but we said dreams are essential for removing our blocks to our reading and the problems in our life. But also we said that dreams guide us in every aspect of these 4 questions that we are to give birth to and use logos and ousia to solve. Which means that dreams we have pathologos dreams, reminding us what we are carrying from our past, that is still influencing our present. So a good way of remembering that is past. We have reminder dreams that remind us something or point out something about our present. Maybe something we're doing well, maybe something that we have done in our reading or in our life that we have overlooked, or an aspect maybe we haven't acknowledged how important it is. So that's in our present. We have prophecy dreams, dreams that can predict your future. And of course, we have insight dreams, or enlightenment dreams. Enlightenment, a greater insight. There you go. Another set of 4. It looks like the 4 teams in the group stages of the World Cup.
You're beautiful and everybody loves you.
Thank you.
That's so funny.
It's not funny, it's true.
I think it's so awesome.
And it is awesome. Isn't that interesting? Here are the group teams. So this is what we make use of. Is it interesting? 4 terms and relationships and its activities, 4 classes of questions, 4 ways of addressing what happens when we read in the different stages, but ultimately 4 classes of dreams, 4 categories of the dialectic, 4 basic kinds of analogy. And we've been seeing that to open up the dream, you can look for, is there a quality of metaphor that is curious to you? And I encourage you to watch the last episode, because that in that episode we look at how do we open up our dream exploration. It's how do we use the terms, or how do we use these analogies to find a puzzle in our dream, and then how do we use the dialectic to guide our dialectic structure to guide the review of our dream analysis. So, the greater sameness is another way of saying the model, which is where our understanding of the whole, the model or whole. Question, which is the whole of being, that which is universal. The other question we are supposed to be becoming curious about, pregnant with as we read, the aspects or parts. What part of reality are you curious about? Do you want to know the meaning of life? Why you're here? What happens after you die? The differences within the whole. There is a name for that cognitive function. The cognitive function of knowledge with a capital K. Is apprehending the whole. Understanding is what leads to that knowledge experience. It's what we're doing now, making use of its parts. And also is its activity. The lesser sameness we've already talked about. That's our question about belief as a whole. And the differences, your specific So the general and the specific, the whole and the parts, which brings us to, which sees this stage that we've reflected in its 4-team pool in the World Cup. And of course, the imitation of knowing by belief to suggest that knowing or expertise or rulership is all relative. The nature of the root cause of all human problems, that's belief. Listen to me because I believe I'm in charge. You fucking sicko. To you we say,
Okay, well, I think you should suck my dick and balls. My metaphorical balls.
you suck, yes, my metaphorical, yes.
That's anti-feminist and some.
You probably want to put your grandma in the basement.
Yes, we want to put you and your grandma in the basement. Thanks, Emma.
Hey, you can't say that to her. You show her some respect.
I respect Emma.
Hubba. I just want more testosterone to human body ratio, and I'll finally be satisfied.
Well, now I respect her a little bit less.
Goon.
Goon.
Be a reasonable gooner.
So, the specific also, we have model and activity. The specific images of the physical world that you are imitating through belief. We call that image thinking. So the specific images that you project, or the functioning of belief through interpretation, image thinking. What images do you project? So that gives us the 4 cognitive functions. The 4 questions that we are supposed to make use of, the 4 kinds of sameness and differences, which is of course the key idea in the text. Let's give a heading to these. Our questions for our philosophical pregnancy, necessary for human development. So this is the nature of all learning and development. We talked about in the book that modern education is information, not transformation. We also talked about the difference between Eastern spirituality that talk about karma and enlightenment experiences, and how it's doesn't work. Enlightenment experiences do not burn your karma. Why? Because experiencing the whole, or the knowledge experience, the whole of being, is a different activity to what addresses belief and your specific image thinking. Also, Eastern spiritual traditions are not based on understanding. Therefore, it's unlikely you will even have that experience, even if you spend your whole life sweeping up at the ashram or meditating on a cushion. And just because you've had an experience doesn't mean you've understood it. Therefore, philodianoia, the love of understanding, is the archetype or model as a whole of spirituality and education. So, and in order to do that, we have to become curious. No one's going to make you enlightened unless you are curious yourself. To become pregnant with a question that you carry and nurture, philosophical pregnancy. And those are the 4 categories of questions that can lead through our movement through the 4 kinds of cognitive functions. How many groups in the World Cup were there? I think there were heaps. That's not how you spell functions. Functions. We are getting just as many groups as there were in the World Cup. In the group stage of the philosophical World Cup. So that's interesting. Well, here we have our 2 key activities. Analogy and dialectic seems to be 4 in each. Good thing there are four teams in the World Cup pool. What? My coffee's beeping at me. Hang on, I'm gonna drink it. There we go. So, as we explore our dreams, here we have the structure, analogy, and dialectic. But what are the terms that we put into the structure? Well, the 2 key terms to understand expertise in the text was sameness and difference. A believer can only relate to the lesser kind of sameness, doing the same thing, but when a different patient comes in with a different illness, can't do anything. Which is why ain't no capitalists solving problems. All they can do is exploit and murder for personal profit. Extract value. Personalize profits, socialize costs. That's all they can do. Ain't no trillionaire solved world hunger. We're still waiting. They're promised that they would because capitalism brings innovation. Right. The innovation in question is, how do we do genocides more? It'll trickle down. When? Seems like everything's getting more expensive and you're still murdering fucking children. When's that goodness gonna trickle down? Just let us kill some more children and get some more profits. They can't do anything else. All they can do is the same thing. Trump, tariffs for everyone. Why? That's all I can do. Because I'm an idiot. I have no expertise. Genocide for everyone, says the religious officials. Why? We don't understand the human condition. We don't understand. So all they can relate to is the lesser kind of sameness of imitation. They can't relate to the differences in the physical world, human problems, different souls, different issues. But someone with actual expertise, understanding, relates to the greater kind of sameness. How are we all the same? What's the nature of the human soul? What are its aspects that develop? What's the development of the human soul? How can we function and make laws and principles that use this higher kind of sameness and difference to relate to address all kinds of differences? So that would be the true nature of governance and spirituality, the opposite of conservatism and religion, and also economics, the opposite of capitalism. So we're living in an age where we are playing out what happens if we don't realize what we just said? We allow the lesser, the sadists who are functioning through imitation of belief, to inflict harm only until we realize, in the same way we demand a knowing the model and the parts of the body for a doctor so it can relate to all differences or all specific illnesses, so too mechanics, pilots, the model of how to fly a plane, the parts of the plane so you can relate to all different flights that you may be flying, so too we have to demand that of the soul, which is of course philodianoia. So what we're learning here is the necessary next stage in our human evolution, philodianoia, love of understanding. And we can call that being Hellenic. Gives it a fun name. Because this was known in the Hellenic age, the story of Achilles. So we could read the Balboa translations of Homer. I doubt there'll be anything of meaning and value in even the greatest Hollywood director of our time. What's his name? The guy who did The Odyssey, the new movie that's currently being released. He's the best of what we got in Hollywood, but of course, without this, it's going to be garbage. I expect. If I'm wrong, I will apologize. But we could read the actual translation that he didn't have, the Balboa translation, and realize that, oh my goodness, the Odyssey and the Iliad is this. Which is why we call it Hellenic. So those were the key aspects, sameness and difference, that helps us to understand how we need to rule our soul and the cause of our individual problems if we are ruled by belief. The importance of reading and dream analysis to move from belief to understanding as our purpose. Also applies at every level because it's true. So our species, our institutions, but also different galaxies. This applies to any sentient species. The importance of moving from belief to understanding. So there are certain key words that we can apply the dialectic to, apply analogy to derive all of this understanding. Is there a list of keywords that could be made use of? Maybe we can go back and find in the book, or apply to our dreams certain keywords. What are we doing? We're back here, aren't we? So here is the activity, analogy, and dialectic, and there needs to be key terms and their inherent relationships that we apply in that activity. Making use of the X and Y button of being a human being. That brings us back to the selfers. They are. I'll zoom in so you can pause it if you want to remember what they were. There is a group of, here we have sameness and difference. Oh, it's in this category. The two pearls, the one and many strings, where there's whole and part, same and different, like and unlike, and so on. So those are the duads that we make use of with our reasoning to bring an idea into oneness. Bring the parts into a whole. And of course, we've been talking about parts and wholes right now, haven't we, of expertise. We do so because we want excellence or justice within our soul or beauty that we seek. So we use reasoning. This is our soul. Our soul we define with three basic psychic forces. We have a reasoning capacity, we have a desiring capacity, and we have an outward. There's something that propels us to act in the world. So the goodnesses, they're monads. Or fancy word for onenesses. beauty, justice, excellence. And of course, as we outwardly seek those things, we need to recognize that human problems are because the lesser imitation of those goodnesses becomes what we seek in our belief. So therefore we identify with the lesser of the pairs of oneness. We are a part, we are a Mormon, we are a Jew, we are a Catholic, we are a MAGA. We are always different. We get to do the genocide, but you can't. We get to have all the money, you can't. We get to all own all the houses, you can't. We're always different. We have to accept the limits of being in that group. If you're a Mormon, you have to wear your magic Mormon underpants and do your gooning.
Goons. Gooners.
Soaking, they call it.
Just like use your brain for a second.
And use your brain,
That's
mate.
funny.
It's kind of funny.
You're gay if you don't give me everything that's in your wallet right now.
Is what they say to you. Thanks, Emma. That's true. They say that, don't they? If you don't tithe to the church, you are homosexual in God's eyes or some bullshit. So notice, you identify with the lesser of the duads. And it functions, so belief, identification of self with the lesser in conflict with the greater. They are only trying to destroy the whole. They don't like when women are free or anyone is not under their thumb. That's the nature of human problems. So therefore, we can understand the nature of human problems using the relationships within the self-logos terms, the basic building blocks of thought, experience, and reality itself. The lesser imitation of these so that you identify with the lesser. So lesser imitation of goodness or the false so that you identify with the lesser pair of the oneness terms. Therefore, the opposite would be the greater or true experience of beauty, justice, and reality. That's the whole. The whole. But through understanding, you can have your state of mind as the whole, functioning not in a sadistic conflict, death, and destruction way, but actual expertise of medicine helps the different parts or the different bodies. Difference or parts. So to know the whole and function providentially. So those are the three terms. Here we have it on the board. Understanding is the state of mind of the greater, functioning to benefit the lesser. And of course, if you're paying careful attention, you realize, hang on a second, what's the ultimate? All we've been talking about is understanding and belief. The lesser and the greater. But within the truth, the aspect, personified or analogized within the human soul is our outward seeking functioning of our psyche. Truth. We seek truth. We want the true sandwich. We want to be seen as someone who's honorable. We want to win the cup, not by cheating, fucking Argentina, and fucking play football. Don't just kick everyone and punch everyone after you lose, you fucking babies.
He's so far up his own ass.
They're a weirdo.
They are
Drop
weirdo.
the attitude, man.
You've been a bad little girl and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now.
That's to the Argentina team.
Unbelievable sluts these days.
Yes. Well, I don't know if we say that, but
All these people are so stupid.
Exactly. So, when you want, you seek excellence, you want to be known or the truth of what you seek. So, we have a bunch of terms within a heading or an ultimate category. Oneness, goodness, and truth, which are the highest words that we have, the highest ideas that we have, which are also the most fundamental descriptions of the whole. the oneness. I experienced oneness. It was the truth of reality, and it was good. So we could even say, in our development of these 4 kinds of pregnancies or questions that we carry, to move through these 4 kinds of cognitive functions, we have to make use of these 4 kinds of analogies in the 4 categories of the dialectic, making use of the 4 kinds of dreams, but the terms that we apply to those structures in those ways, the terms, or the logos terms we call them, logos terms, sometimes called the selfers. Why? Because we are not talking about them as an adjective, a beautiful puppy, a beautiful streamer.
The more holes, the better.
Hey, that's not something you should say when I'm zooming in.
No, you're not the one that's mentally unwell. You're brave. You are crossing into new boundaries.
We are all crossing into new boundaries.
Funny and cool? Hey, leave some for the rest of us, man.
That's better. So not a funny and cool and beautiful streamer, but beauty itself, justice itself, excellence itself. So in other words, these are the building blocks of thought, perception, experience, but when we talk about them in the greater sense, the sameness of the model and the greater differences of its parts, we are talking about the things themselves. So that's as we've been saying, our movement is through those cognitive functions, or from the lesser to the greater. We could also say it's a movement from the physical world of becoming to the non-physical world of being or mind. Metaphysics or spirituality. It's just the mind knowing itself. So it's not scary, or you don't have to shave your head and live with the bears in the forests and meditate under a waterfall. It's just using your mind properly. And it's normal. All you got to do is recognize that the thing that keeps you stuck onto the lesser, keeps you stupid and ignorant, is just a loyalty to what you think is the greater, but is the lesser imitation of those goodnesses. So loyalty to belief, that's it. In other words, we're all just wonderful students to poor teachers. And growing up and development is recognizing that and doing something about it. Freeing yourself from the notice that those Mormon kids have Mormon parents that are telling them all those terrible things, and the Jewish kids have Jewish parents who are telling them to do those terrible things to Palestinians, and the MAGA children are from MAGA parents, and the billionaire children are from billionaire parents. What do you know? How far does it go back? Do you think Elon Musk's dad was similar to him? And his dad to him? And his dad to him? And his great-granddad and great-great-granddad and great-great-great all the way back to the cave. So this is addressing our evolutionary purpose as well. So the key terms, or the logos terms, or selfers, as we just explained, seem to have categories. We have the what color? What's going on over here? All right, orange hasn't been here for a while, so let's use orange. What color? We'll use this orange. We have the desiring part of the soul, that which propels us. Those are the monads, or the excellences, like beauty. The middle term, and we seek truth. lesser, greater, and ultimate, the triad. We'll use one word here so it looks like a monad. We reason, the next part of our soul, a reasoning part, the whole and part. Sameness and difference, like and unlike. Oops. Fuck.
Okay, well, I think you should suck my dick and balls. My metaphorical dick and balls.
Well, if it's a metaphor, I don't think that was appropriate for just making.
Just shut up.
Okay, okay. So we have the monads, the monad terms, which is a fancy word for one. The triads, fancy word for three. The duads, duad selfers, fancy word for two. And of course we have the captains of the team, which describe that by the way, having this structure, you can gain insight from any one of them. In the same way we looked at sameness and difference, applied the dialectic structure to sameness and difference to see, we gain an insight about metaphor and similes. So too, here we can look at this and say, hang on a second. The description of enlightenment is as a whole in the realm of being, what we experience in the cognitive function of knowledge. See, I'm just taking the top line all the way across. That's the, what do we call them? The captains of the team? The captains of excellence, goodness, lesser, greater, and ultimate are the different expressions of truth. And whole and part is how we bring things into a oneness. Whoops. Oneness. Oneness. So there's a nice way of using these four terms to understand the terms that we make use of in our reading, in our thinking, in our dream analysis and stuff. So those are the groups of four in the World Cup, the pool stage that we apply to our dreams, that we use to our reading, to give birth to those questions and answer them, and therefore master the dialectic. We gain a mastery of dialectic and analogy and the use of those terms and relationships to reach the highest stage of ousia and logos. So what started at the beginning as an unfoldment we also follow up to the final playoff game, logos and ousia, but it's a mastery to gain mastery. So we return with mastery of logos and ousia as a result of living our life properly, doing our intended function. A mastery. Oh my goodness, my handwriting today. Mastery of logos and ousia. But hang on a second. We have to come back with something new. That's the idea of the anagogic analogy. As we go through the dialectic, as we see here, we start with the definition. For us, it was logos and ousia. We demonstrated it in our reading and dream analysis, in the activity of analogy and dialectic. We went through these divisions in finding these groups of 4 in the group stages of the World Cup. As a result of going through this, there should be a key idea. So we should that's synthesis. Or key logos. A key idea or insight or term that we then relate back to the self. That's analysis. The 2 aspects of the final stage. Analysis. Or ousia, we take back to the beginning. Is there something that we can gain from realizing that there are all these patterns of 4s that we can take with us? Back to the beginning. Back to our reading, which we are going back to. Hang on a second. Didn't we say in the last 2 episodes, weren't we recognizing that? Didn't we even say today that while there is a lesser and greater of belief and understanding, what's the ultimate? What's the ultimate cognitive function? What we've been talking about is winning the gold star. If our journey is addressing beliefs, stomping the turtles in the Mario game, and mastering, by the way, knowing and understanding together is sometimes called wisdom. Just as belief and image thinking together is called ignorance. Wisdom. Ignorance. So notice, ignorance isn't not knowing. It's thinking you know something. It's the lesser cosplaying as the greater. So all of those groups, your fuckhead pastor telling people in your community that if they don't believe what he says, they go to hell. Trump pretending to be a politician. Elon Musk pretending to be, I don't know, like an Iron Man or Mecha Hitler or whatever he's pretending to be. It's the lesser imitating the greater, as we've been learning from the text. That's ignorance. It's not knowing. You can be not knowing something with a question. That's a good thing. Ignorance is thinking. You know something you don't. So what? What's the higher kind of cognitive function beyond wisdom? What's the higher kind of question that we can wonder about, that we should take back with us to our reading? What's the higher kind of sameness and greater beyond the realm of being? What's beyond being? What's beyond sameness and difference? Is there a higher kind of analogy that's the cause of all of the other analogies? Is there a higher kind of principle that's the cause, the principle behind the unfolding within the intelligible structure of reality and thought, the dialectic. Is there a fifth kind of dream we can have that relates to all of these things? Notice, by playing it out like this, we can gain insights into one question by jumping over to another. That's the significance of going through this reflection in this kind of way. What's beyond an enlightenment dream? What's beyond goodness, truth, and oneness? Well, we've already looked into that a little bit. The one, the good, and the true. What's the one and the good and true talking about? If those are the selfers, is that an adjective? What's the one and the good, and the true describing? And how does it relate to the higher kind of dream? And how does it relate to someone who functions through? Does our dream master function through analogy in a higher kind of way? Does it create a structure of dreams using the dialectic? Is it a higher kind of apprehension of the dialectic? Therefore, is our dream maker demonstrating a higher kind of mastery even than this, beyond even wisdom, of logos and ousia? What's the logos and ousia, not of the selfers, but of the self? Not of oneness, truth, and goodness, but the axiom or principle of one, true, or good. What's that? What's the reason for going through this process? And how does it relate to our dream maker? Therefore, we have an insight or a question or a logos that we can ousia back to the top. Therefore, by going through the group stage, and then the round of 32, and then the round of 16, and then we ended up back in the group stages. We can go through this to the grand final, not just with the mastery of logos and ousia, but we return with a question about the principle or axiom that we have to trust and we can live by. Of the self and dream maker. And its higher kind of logos and ousia. So all of those questions we can take back with us that will lead us from the semi-final of the logos and ousia What's the higher kind of logos and ousia? What's the principle, axiom? What's that got to do with the self and dream maker of logos and ousia? And if it's together as a one, what's that? That's our welcome. What's the cause of even the greater? What's the ultimate? What's the higher use of understanding? Not just to perfect understanding of being and purify the root cause of our problems and injustice, but why go through that activity? Why go through the dialectic of life with The dialectic of life of... So what am I doing? I'm just matching them up. The dialectic of life, the greater sameness and difference, the whole and parts of understanding and knowing, and to get there, you have to first we have to at the same time address the lesser aspects of the dialectic, the lesser sameness and difference, belief and specific beliefs, your pathologos, to address ignorance. Why go through that? Why are we here to go through that? Is that a question that we can add to the 4 other questions we've been developing, giving us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5 questions.
It's not being crazy. It's called reaching a higher sense of being.
Would that help us reach a higher state of being?
poggers.
I'm Benny Dorito. I'm cool. I'm a cool guy.
No, you're not Benny Dorito. You are Aaron Brown.
Somehow it always comes back to this.
You have the most beautiful breasts and the juiciest ass.
Thank you, soundboard. I appreciate it.
A massive library of spank material.
Hey, that's not what this episode is about. Giving Emma a massive library of spank material.
Goon.
So there we have a lovely description of the World Cup of the soul. These are our many different groups at the bottom. That go through the next stage of reading and dreams to develop a mastery of analogy and dialectic and a mastery of those terms and relationships that we've been using in here, which is ultimately the activity of logos and ousia together. Therefore, the semi-final is logos and ousia together in this activity, applied to this higher kind of question as well. So that's where we are as a review. Is it pretty enough to put on your fridge or on your truck as a bumper sticker? I don't know. But it's a fantastic description of where we're at and what we've discovered, but also the significance of things like analogy and dialectic and why it's worth doing this. So, that's where we are. Let's jump in. So here we are at the end of the text. Finally, what's it been, 2-3 weeks of review? Worth it though. Pretty handy to have that map. By the way, didn't we see in the text that a wisdom tradition functions in a special way? They furnish us with maps for reaching and integrating the most profound levels of experience. Buddhism, Hinduism, and other traditions served that purpose in the East, while Platonic tradition served that purpose in the West. If you ever decide to do it, and by that I mean practice Platonic philosophy, you will soon discover the need for something like a map to chart. Pardon me, goodness.
You probably want to put your grandma in the basement.
No, she doesn't have to go there. You need something like a map to chart your direction and progress. And the contemplative path of Platonic tradition expresses itself through metaphysics, so that too can be mastered. The real challenge is to master, teach it, and add to it. So, there's our map. How it unfolds in us doing it. How it returns in our mastery while we teach it. And remember, what do we just do? We bring something back with us, add to it. A question about dreams, a question about the dream maker, a question about the ultimate. What are you bringing back in this? So, therefore, according to the book, wisdom tradition on the board. You don't have to give me your wives like a religion, or your monies, or shave your head or sit under a waterfall. It's just on the board and it's pretty and we have fun sound drops at the same time.
I'm cute. Like, it's cutie pie.
Like Emma saying that.
I think it's so awesome. This guy needs a soundboard.
Well, hey, I do have a soundboard.
They're a weirdo.
All right. Pretty neat. So, good thing that we are doing what we are being asked to do in this book. Let's finish the dialogue. So, we are at the stage where Aaliyah is saying, hang on a second. I have a question about what's happening here. I'm not fighting with you like you are with Harry. Well, Harry is with you. I'm not into this debate pervert stuff.
Let's be honest.
Of belief trying to justify itself. I have a higher question. Does this Platonic tradition, this Hellenic understanding thing, does it do more than just get rid of your beliefs? Does it address real questions? Joseph says, real questions like what? Whoops. Life and death issues, basic stuff. Like, what does this all mean? Have you ever heard a good answer to why you are here? Now, please don't play games with me. Have you found any good answers? I've seen you have the knack for asking questions, but do you have the answers too? Well, I've heard ideas such as the soul as immortal. And that it survives death and rebirth. It survives death and reborn, reincarnation, and about the soul's journey. Harry. By God, you've got him. He's dodging. Wait a minute. I'm not dueling, Harry. Fuck you, Harry.
That's dumbass.
Dumbass.
You probably want to put your grandma in the basement.
Stop telling me to put grandma in the basement. I'm not dueling like you. I want an answer that makes sense here and now. I don't care if it's from heaven or hell or Plato. It's got to make sense. Not in some next world, but right here. What's that called? Having a genuine question or being philosophically pregnant. Hooray for Aaliyah.
Everybody should love sluts. I love sluts.
Well, okay. Emma?
Do a poggers.
Poggers for her. The answer has to make sense to me here, and it's got to include why we're even talking right here, and it's got to make sense now. So forget about heaven and hell and reincarnation because they don't answer that problem. Joseph. Of course it does. Of course. Of course it does. Your life is your karma. Your present moment of existence is the result of your present and past thoughts, feelings, and deeds. They live on and fix your future and your future life. Enlightenment burns up your bad karma and it makes your next reincarnation better. Or it may even, if it's deep enough, take you off the wheel of birth and death altogether. Deep enough is what she said.
Suck my dick, hello?
Okay, calm down.
Bitch.
All right. There was a bad joke. Deep enough, that, dear Joseph, is the problem. Because I know someone who was told that if she didn't continue with her practice, her experience of enlightenment wouldn't have any effect on her everyday life. And she might later forget. She might later even forget it. But I happen to know her. Yes, you know her. It's my niece, Amy. Well, Amy Nadine is the one to do it all. Whatever that means. That's a weird sentence. Amy Nadine is the one to do it all. Is that an anagram for something? I don't know. Enlightenment doesn't make any angels, and you ought to know that as well as me. It is through Amy that I've gotten to know several of these enlightened guys from the Eastern traditions, and it doesn't wipe out all their bad karma. It's the other way around. It really shows that their karma is stronger than their enlightenment experience. Maybe that is true for everyone, I don't know. Anyway, why assume it will act in the next world if it doesn't do a good job on this moment that you're in? You got him again. Fuck you, Harry.
Suck my dick, hello?
Hello, Harry.
That was not on my bingo card.
Okay, Emma. And that is interesting, says Joseph, isn't it? You've got a good way of expressing yourself, Aaliyah. Well, understanding has helped me. I have been able to overcome some of my problems, at least to some degree, and it was through understanding that I gained a real nice insight into the origins of a particular game I have been playing out in my life. So it sounds like he has that question also about his specific game, or how his specific belief plays out analogously in the allegory of his life. That's the game. By looking at the metaphors and the states of mind or similes and how it ends, to see he might be imitating someone he learnt this from, we can solve our problem. Good thing we have this map. Aaliyah goes on. I would like to hear about that. I really would, because I'd love to know what you are talking about. But you know what I just thought of? That means understanding is stronger than karma, and is likely to be more permanent and deeper than some of the enlightenment experiences I've heard about. Therefore, we don't use the word karma, we use the word belief and specific pathologos. Knowledge or our peak experiences are not more powerful than our belief or pathologos. But you know what is? Understanding. Understanding can solve our problems. And that makes understanding more powerful than our enlightenment experiences that can't do that. Therefore, the name of the new subject, the higher subject, Philodianoia, the love of understanding. Higher even than the love of wisdom. And higher even than the love of belief, Philodoxia, which of course is modern philosophy. Understanding, says Leah, understanding is stronger than karma and is likely to be more permanent and deeper than some of the enlightenment experiences I've heard about. So deeper and more permanent. An experience has a beginning, middle, and end. Understanding you can take with you. Take with you even to the World Cup question. What's the principal axiom of self that's beyond? And why is that? Because we are asking what is beyond being, right? If being is this greater experience of the whole that we call nous or knowledge, what's beyond being? Something that understanding can take us to. So it seems. Good thing we have this map to help us understand what we're reading. And doesn't it look pretty? Like a World Cup draw? I have even heard that some enlightenment experiences can be so shallow to have little effect on one's own life. It can even be forgotten unless one continues the practice of meditation and stuff. Wouldn't that be a gas if your next reincarnation plays itself out only in terms of what you understand about yourself. Because the odds are that neither understanding nor enlightenment can get you very far. So it sounds like there's a truth and a lie in here. Maybe our next reincarnation does play out in terms of our understanding or strength of our false belief about ourselves. As Harry is demonstrating, because he says it's likely that understanding doesn't get you very far, which is someone like, it's just a stupid thing to say.
Please, you've been a bad little girl and you're a little bitch ass baby.
You're being a bad little girl and you're a bitch ass baby, Harry. Now wait a minute, said Joseph. Let's go back to the point Aaliyah was making. Just state what you call the problem once more for me, please. No, good. Aaliyah says, existence, plain existence, the problem of my being here at this very moment. That's what. And why you are here as well. And why do you call that a problem? Asked Joseph. Now, am I right or wrong about this? I've never heard nor read any satisfactory explanation for why I'm here. You know, me personally. Nor have I heard why I'm here rather than somewhere else at some other time. Now, Harry, don't tell me God put me here, because that doesn't answer why he did. So God may know, but why can't I? I just can't figure out why I can't get a simple answer to a simple question. Now, to me, it is obvious that if you can't answer that, then whatever you can answer can't be as interesting as what you can't answer. And I guess that bugs me the most. It's strange to be in a place and not know why you're here, right? Imagine being in a Mario game and just, why am I in a Mario game? Now, I think Harry and I have the same question, only he ducks it by jumping into belief.
You've been a bad little girl and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now.
It's sad. And I'm sad for you.
I'm sad for you. Harry says, well, dear Leah, that's what faith is for. It ends that everything that demonstrates that you are a more rational, open-minded, curious soul. It ends all that goodness of what you are, Aaliyah. And I'm smug about that because that's the fucking stupidity of faith or belief. He is saying with a smug cruelty that it destroys the brilliance of that curiosity and desire for understanding. So we have to ask the question, how did Aaliyah end up with someone as fucking terrible as this jerk? And maybe in the sequel, you can ship her with someone else. Ooh.
And she spit on him also.
No, she didn't. Maybe she can spit on him also in the book. That's what faith is for, dear Aaliyah. It ends that. And that's all it has to end. He's right there. That's its job. That's the job of belief. To end the essence of life and curiosity and wonder and intelligence within the human soul, because that's how fucking evil belief is. But not my belief, yes, belief itself. Your job is to find your specific one. Now, when we say evil, we don't mean it's a sinister devil. That's another false belief. It's badness itself. In principle, that's how it functions. Unless, of course, we recognize its actual purpose to encourage our self-reflection so we can free ourselves from said false beliefs that we may have picked up in previous reincarnations. Says the book. Only one way to find out. So, Joseph, I do believe it's your time to turn over the discussion to me. See? That's how belief functions. Shuts down women, or shuts down a good mind. Fuck you, Harry.
Suck my dick, hello?
Hello?
That was not on my bingo card.
Okay, Emma. Turn the discussion over to me. The man is speaking. It says in the Bible that women have to fucking shut up. I saw it on Joe Rogan's podcast. Donald Trump told me. Elon Musk said so. All of these believing grifters told me that I can, so long as I become a slave to these assholes, then these jerks, then I get to oppress women. Turn the conversation over to me. Joseph says, fuck you. He says,
You're a baby. You're a little baby. Baby.
you're a little baby. Oh, stop crowing, Harry. Sure, Aaliyah's got a good one. And I'm not sure what that means, but I don't know how to answer her. Hey, I don't mean to be rude, Joseph. Really. And I suspect that what you have learned may have helped you. I can see that. But I'm not sure it will work for me. You see, your answers don't cover me. And the answers you've heard answering your own question are the answers you've heard answering. Hey, it may have helped you, but are the questions, sorry, one more time. Are the answers you've heard, are they answering your own questions? Like, do you have questions like mine? Well, says Joseph, who listens to people like Aaliyah, the opposite of the majority who are more like Harry, influenced by belief of the ignorant. I've listened to you, and I have those questions now as well. Thing about a question is it's a quest that you can share, or as Gandalf puts it,
I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure.
you can share that adventure. Aaliyah says, to have this question and to realize that most people don't ask it, which is insane, and the believers try and silence that rational question with their belief bullshit. But it's so important. You're here. Why? It's the most important question. No one's given a sufficient answer. And those who claim to are just cowardly imitators of belief. But when you've got the question like me, isn't it disturbing? So obvious, rational, important. We don't have the answer. We have a question. Isn't that disturbing? Joseph says, yes. Well, says Aaliyah, maybe you've been studying the wrong questions. Joseph says, well, yeah, I hear you. And Harry fucking jumps in. Fuck you, Harry.
It's sad. And I'm sad
I'm
for
sad for you. Is Aaliyah right? Does your philosophy simply avoid the kinds of questions Aaliyah has? Can you answer her from the platonic basket of answers, or do you only have questions? Notice, he wants a basket of answers. What have we been seeing? The nature of development is you have to play this game. It's a development of mastery through a collection of not answers, but questions. You can answer them, but in doing so, you learn the art of these four key terms: their relationships, the use of analogy, and the art of dialectic. He wants answers that he can vomit on other people and act like a Noah. Belief. How will that help him with mastery and giving rise to this higher question? Right, back to the book. Can you answer her from the platonic basket of answers, or do you only have questions? But I believe, or maybe hope is a better word for it, that there must be an answer to this. It's got to be there. Axiom. It's one of the axioms. What are the three that we carry? Well, let's find them on the board. Make sure we're not missing any. To begin this game, to play well... Hey, in order to play the World Cup, you have to be open to the idea that you can play soccer and you might win. Otherwise, if you don't think soccer exists, how can you even play? What are the axioms that we have been following? That are rational and necessary to play the game. Did we write them up? Surely we have. Problems are solvable, excellence is reachable, and dreams are your guide. Where is that, though? We had to change blackboards when the old one was so full of wisdom that it was taking too long to load. It wasn't loading up. Maybe you haven't written them on the board. On the new board. All right, I guess we haven't written them down, but that's what they are. Anyway. Oh yes, we did it when we were exploring the difference between understanding, the different kinds of understanding and belief. Oh, here they are, axioms. Oh, we got 4 of them, which fits nicely, so we could make another group in the World Cup. The axioms that we have to trust to begin the game, to play the game in the first place. Excellence is reachable via following its inherent intelligibility, the logos, allowing our development to answer the sorts of questions that Aaliyah and Joseph are talking about right now. Problems are solvable via understanding its inherent intelligibility. X and Y, logos and reflection. The name of the inherent intelligibility of human problems, the pathologos. Division, your guide for both of those is your dream master, or the dream analysis. And the final thing, the ultimate goal of knowing and showing the self via the self logos and self ousia is reachable through dream analysis and reflection on the dream maker itself. So that sounds like that's a question for, that's an axiom that says, hey, axiom 1, this is reachable. Questions about understanding as a whole and you being able to reach it. That's the mastery of the logos. Problems are solvable. That's the mastery of the pathologos. You get it through reading and guidance from your dreams. That's axiom 3. And finally, this final question that we have here, what's beyond being? What's that 5th question? What's beyond enlightenment? What's the dream maker itself? What's the final axiom? What's the principle of the one, the standard of the one, the good and the true? That's also reachable by not only dream analysis, but by reflecting on the dream maker. Good thing that our 5th question contained that thing about the dream maker. Meaning the World Cup is in principle winnable by you.
Everybody should love sluts. I love sluts.
And you should also love sluts.
I have a massive library of spank material.
Oh, because Emma wants a library of spank material.
I love this guy.
But yes, and we love you guys and girls.
This is why I love this channel, man.
Thank you. Very wholesome. Very wholesome at the end from my soundboard. Thank you very much.
They're secretly turned on by it.
I am a gooner.
Gun.
So those are the axioms. Necessary to play the game. And notice our question is, what's the final axiom? What's the axiom that allows those axioms to be? Problems are solvable, excellence is reachable via the mastery of the logos. Problems are solvable through mastery of the pathologos. You get guidance on how to do that through your dreams. And if you reflect on the dream maker itself, you can wonder about the ultimate principle or axiom of axioms. Isn't that interesting? And nice 4 in as well. If there's 4, we can wonder, is there a mysterious 5th? What would be the 5th? Hey, what happens after you've won the World Cup? What are you going to do with that mastery? Could that be another set of 4 giving a mysterious 5th? Of axioms? Let's use the guide of the dialectic once more. What's that? Self itself, self to others, others to others, other back to self. Just as a guide. Well, I might as well keep it there. Because, well, we could use any one of those other ones, but as a guide, but the dialectic seems to be the most fundamental. Whoops. Self itself, how self relates to others, how others relate to other others or division, other back to self. The axioms, what color? This one. Excellence. Is reachable via its inherent intelligibility called the logos. To play this game, to become curious about beliefs and solve your problems, both in this lifetime and beyond, you have to accept the principle or trust in a principle, a rational principle, a beautiful principle, a necessary principle, but you won't prove it until you get that World Cup. Human problems are solvable so long as you seek its inherent intelligibility. Solvable. Hey, welcome, Reeve. Hello to you.
Jester Goon Maxed.
We've been Jester Goon Maxing today via its inherent intelligibility called the Pathologos. Fantastic ep today, by the way. I recommend watching the VOD if you're just tuning in now. We have a guidance for both divisions via the inherent intelligibility of dreams called dream analysis, which is what we've been learning in the last few episodes. And one of the things we take back with us in our mastery to win the World Cup. We're using the World Cup as an analogy today, Reeve. It's wonderful.
Slay the puss.
Emma, not in front of our friend Reeve.
Goon, 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 goon.
How dare she say that? And what was our final axiom? Our ultimate goal of knowing and showing the self is reachable via reflection on the dream master. So we've got the lesser in our problems, the greater in our excellence, guidance for both, but our ultimate goal is reachable. We can win the World Cup. Or let's say attainable. So, missed every shot is because of the pathologos and midwifery is the art of putting the ball right in the goal. Yes.
I would scoop the moon in a cup for you.
We'd scoop the moon in the World Cup for you for saying things like that. Yes. Can you imagine coaching a football team with the art of philosophical midwifery in your back pocket? Oh, that would be one hell of a display for the world. Why? They would be able to, in principle, reach their excellence. They'd be able to remove their blocks. Did you see all of the... If you watch the World Cup final, you'll see quite a fuckload of blocks being displayed openly for the world from the Argentinian team. But also everyone was... The World Cup stage gives the... allows the conditions. It's a meaningful goal for them. For all of their level of excellence and level of problems to be on display to the world. It's really the most ideal or fruitful environment to do midwifery as an archetype of the ideal coach. What's a coach? A teacher. When you bring in an understanding of the soul to reach your genuine excellence within the art, within the area, and solve problems, that being a teacher upgrades from your art as a teacher to your art as formerly a guru. Now imagine displaying that in front of 1 billion people, 5 billion people, as you win the World Cup, literally. Your whole team will not only be able to reach their excellence, it would be a good opportunity to see yourself being put ablaze by fanatical football supporters. Well, yeah, you'd have to pick your team by selecting who loves to play the most. Because one of the things with a football team is, like, you could have a great player in your country. You could have a great center back, but it might not be the right center back for your team. If you want to play a passing game and he's more of a defensive, well, he's more of a brute, or he's more of a runner and not much of a putt. Like the Spanish team that won the World Cup had a what do they call it? Had an identity. They're a passing team. They were a possession team. Equally so, if you wanted to get an excellent football team to win the World Cup, you'd have to select your players that would meet your club identity or your team identity, which would be those who A, love to play the game the most, and B, seek to do so with excellence. As the Oracle tells us,
I have known people who go to therapy, but they don't actually want to grow and improve and change as people. They just use all the therapy speak to help, like, continue being a shitty person.
unless they want to grow, they're just going to use the opportunity to continue to be the way of being they're addicted to.
You're not going to magically force someone to want to get better. You have to come to that conclusion yourself. You have to want to get better.
So people who want to get better would be the sorts of players you'd pick, people who like to have fun and want to do so in the highest way. What? And therefore, you'd be able to help them through this, well, by the way, every activity is in service of this. When we say this is the meaning of life, we don't just mean for some special few, the selected, chosen billionaire. No, it's for everyone, literally everyone. Every single activity is either in service of this, or because we think it will make us good enough to finally do this activity. Or we're loyal to our bad activity of defending our beliefs, or as the Oracle told us, being a shitty person. Therefore, someone who loves football is no different than Aaliyah, who has this question about, why am I here? What's the meaning? What's the game here? That question about football, winning the World Cup, will be your specific aspect of understanding, or of the whole, that can lead you to knowing the whole. For Aaliyah, it's understanding why she's here. For a football player, it could be, well, whatever motivates them to play. the fun, the joy, the excellence, the zone state of mind, it's all the same. And if you become a true coach, which elevates you from teacher to guru, which of course is the very thing we've just read we're supposed to do, first of all, participate ourselves on the way down, develop mastery as we share this with others, and then ultimately add to the tradition, is what we read in the book earlier today. Therefore, as you become a guru of your team, as the coach, you will help them to reach their excellence. That's the first axiom. By participating in the intelligibility of whatever art you're doing, you can reach your excellence, so long as that art reflects the intelligibility of reality itself, because you can use it as a springboard analogy to master yourself, your mind. Second axiom, you can solve your problems. Instead of just being the Argentinian team of thugs beating up the poor Spanish players, you can solve your problems. You can go from the team hated by everyone now, Argentina, to the most beloved. That's, by the way, the story of Achilles, the worst person becoming the best. But not only will they be able to do that and win the World Cup, they will get the necessary guidance for both via dream analysis. Meaning, the greater that they understand the logos and pathologos, the greater they're participating in their own dream analysis, meaning they are also learning. Meaning, everything they learn, they can teach their own friends or their own football team or their own club team as they go back to their clubs after the World Cup. That's the thing. Belief is based on bullshit hierarchies where I'm at the top, I'm a billionaire, I'm the president of MAGA or whatever, I'm the fascist, or I'm the religious authority, and you are fucking peasants and I get to abuse you on the Epstein Island or whatever way I want. That's the thing about belief. A is to B. As I was abused, so too I will abuse you. That's the redundant analogy. A is to B as A is to B. But the difference in this is, hey, welcome Nitro, is you make others like you. You make every player into a master coach or guru. Yes, they win the World Cup, but hang on a second, you've only got, 10 years of your soccer playing career? What then? And what about after this lifetime? Don't you want to have mastered something that you can take with you beyond the World Cup, beyond your soccer career, and beyond this lifetime? That's the significance of the true analogy. A is to B. As you learn, so too you can teach others, or so too they can teach others. The anagogic analogy, anagogic upward moving. So not only will you make a champion team, you will make a team full of champions who can become leaders of their own teams through dream analysis. And the final axiom that we have to trust to play the game, that you will only prove once you get there, is our ultimate goal is attainable via reflecting on the inherent intelligibility of the dream maker. So just as your players could be wondering about what allowed you to bring them to that level of excellence and freedom of problems, give this a different color so it stands out. So too can you encourage your players to reflect on, hey, I was just asking you questions in relation to the dream and these texts that we have to read, or that we have fun reading. What does that say about the dream maker? Just as they reflect on your functioning as a teacher, so too can they reflect on the ultimate standard of teacher. Those are the 4 axioms. And what's our theme today? Those are the 4 axioms that we require, that we must. The 4 axioms needed to play the game, become a football player, and play in the World Cup. And we are asking, is there a final axiom, a 5th axiom, the axiom of all axioms? Can we have a question about this axiom that allows these others to exist? That's what we bring with us. Not an answer, but a question. As we practice our mastery, we bring back that question about the axiom, the principle or axiom of the self, the ultimate state of self, and the dream maker. That's how we win the World Cup. Of the soul. Hooray.
I'm eating the testicles of this bull, and I'm eating it raw.
No. You don't win the World Cup by eating the raw bull testicles. You do what we just said.
Bull testicles. Bull testicles.
No, I said no bull testicles.
That's anti-feminist in some way.
All right, well, if it's anti-feminist, just a little bit of bull testicles.
I'm a comedian too.
Okay, you're a comedian. There you go. So, back to the book. So those axioms are what Harry is talking about. Because Joseph is talking. Harry says, "Hey, can you answer those questions? Her specific understanding about her specific excellence. Why am I here? And why now? And why here?" Joseph says, "I believe," or rather, considering everything we've been learning about belief, maybe belief isn't the right word. Hope may be a better word for it. We've got an even better word. That there must be an answer to this. It's got to be there. Only right now, I have to admit I haven't the faintest idea where to look for it. But it's got to be there. I just don't have it. Puzzled, curious, open, good state of mind. He's got a question. Philosophical pregnancy. Harry jumps in. Hold on, Aaliyah. It's my turn. So, Joseph, fuck you, Harry.
Don't be disgusting.
Don't be disgusting. So, Joseph, you do have a belief. Haha, don't you? Or maybe it's a prejudice. And you sure could use some help right now, couldn't you? But your friend Sophronicus, or whatever his name was, isn't around, so you have to stand on your own, eh? What's prejudice? We saw in the book, prejudice was what happens when you take belief as knowledge or truth or expertise or as a qualification for leadership. As oneness, knowing or understanding. As goodness or benefit. As truth. When you take the words that describe knowing or wisdom or the whole, and you apply it to its opposite, belief. That's prejudice, to be ruled by belief. What we have seen is the beliefs that we have here are different. They are rational. They are necessary. We have reason to believe that they have to be so. and they are in principle verifiable. In other words, it's belief, but it's not to be ruled by belief. It's to trust in the rule of understanding, whereas prejudice is to trust in the rule of belief. It's actually the opposite, which is fascinating. Different class of belief. Not to be ruled by belief. So, hey, you have a belief then, says Harry, and you have to stand on your own. Joseph says, hang on a second. Well, first of all, I don't know why that's standing on your own. We have a great community. We have Ree, we have Nitro, and to them we say...
Just popped a perky, now I'm Kirky.
They've popped a Kirky, and now popped the perky, now they're Kirky.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Which is, Emma got Emma excited.
Funny, cool, and accents. Come on.
All right, come on. Joseph says, well, you're right there, Harry, and more than you know. You're right about having a kind of belief, but more than you know, because you haven't gone through the work that we've gone through to distinguish axiom from prejudice. They're kind of opposites. Aaliyah is raising the whole issue of what it is to be enlightened or wise. And for me, I really don't know if it covers that. Enlightenment and wisdom. All right, and it doesn't know if belief covers those two. Of course they don't. Belief is the opposite. Aaliyah says, I've heard talk about enlightenment. Read a little bit about it. These pure states of consciousness sound good, and maybe I'm strange, but I think, or maybe I believe, or maybe I know. What? Sounds like you would have a good conversation with Aaliyah, helping her reflect on the different cognitive functions. Maybe I know, maybe I understand, maybe I believe. Maybe it's just an image. What's the difference? Maybe you would say to Aaliyah, buy me a coffee and we'll reflect on it. By the way, as we read the book, even better if you bring a dream with you. I think, or maybe believe, or maybe know, that if I were enlightened and I couldn't answer these questions of mine, I wouldn't think too highly of it. I'm not saying it wouldn't be great to be enlightened, but I want to be enlightened about these questions. I really don't think the enlightened have the question, much less the answer. Sounds like, well, we've been talking about, isn't it? Understanding goes beyond the peak experiences. And understanding solves problems of belief as experiences don't. Joseph, Aaliyah, I do believe you could confound even the saints. You're quite a rare princess, says Harry. Joseph says to Aaliyah,
Slay the puss.
oh my goodness. Emma. Oh my goodness.
What
Emma.
is this? The damn Opie and
Opie
Anthony?
and Anthony
Okay,
or
whatever.
something? Okay, whatever.
Die mad about it, bitch.
All right. We won't die. We're happy with her saying that. Emma?
Gargle on my...
Okay, calm down. You would confound even the saints. Harry jumps in. Invoking the saints. At least I know I don't know. And believe instead. But you... Joseph, invoking saints I don't even believe in. It was only a figure of speech. That's all, you idiot.
Oh, fuck.
But for me, I think I have to say I don't know. And I don't like not knowing. Oops, and I don't have my highlighter anymore. Oh my god, okay, we'll do it this way. And I hope to know. I don't know. I don't like not knowing, and I hope to know. And I'm going to push these questions. Sounds like 4 terms. 4 terms sound like the dialectic that might be to do with what it means to be pregnant with a question. Thanks for them. Thanks for these questions. I'm really interested in finding if there are answers to them in some tradition, and I sure hope it's in the Platonic tradition. Leah says, I hope you'll be successful and can find time to share your findings with us. Combining understanding and enlightenment would be quite a trip. Isn't that the game? Isn't that what we call wisdom? The enlightenment experience with the understanding? Looks like that on the board. Knowledge is on the top line. Scroll away to the top line. Oh, enlightenment on the top line. Oh, described with the highest words on the top line. Oh, reachable through the logos. Isn't that the game? Now we have seen there's a different level of combination of knowing and wisdom, or logos and ousia. Sorry, knowing and understanding, logos and ousia. That's our question. Is there a higher kind? Where logos and ousia come together in a higher kind of way. So there's 2 versions of that question Aaliyah has voiced. Combining understanding with those enlightenment states of consciousness or experiences would be quite a trip, says Aaliyah. Yes, says Joseph, it would. I wonder if it's possible. Do you think that's what Plato found in Socrates? I like that. Is that what makes Socrates a guru? Harry. Have I just been counted out or something? Hey, you guys, I'm here with all my beliefs. I love my own opinions. Why don't you ask me? I can tell you about stuff. I just make shit up, because I'm a fucking believer. Who am I counted out? Why are you using understanding of Socrates and stuff? Anyway, fuck you, Harry.
The woman? Ugh.
He's not a woman.
You literally are dumber than children.
To Harry. All right. Joseph says, hey, Aaliyah. Say, Aaliyah. Ignoring Harry. Good. Fuck you, Harry. Say, Aaliyah, do you have any other puzzle that you play with and can share with me, seeing as your boyf is a dud?
You're gay if you don't give me everything that's in your wallet right now.
Calm down. Harry says, she's got one that she's been keeping to herself, Joseph. It's wild. She pulled it on me while we were driving here. Well, okay, maybe I was speaking too fast. Maybe there is some goodness in their relationship.
Off the perky, call me Kirky.
Maybe they're off the perky a little bit. And we'll call them Kirky a bit. That he listened to her enough and remembered the question that she asked. Aaliyah says, I've been puzzling about something. I wonder why I can't recognize everything as mine. What the heck? Since I experience everything in my mind, I get an answer to it, and that seems to put it to sleep for a while, only it returns with greater force when I see the answer is stupid. What have we been seeing? We've been seeing this whole game is about using our intelligent capabilities, our X and Y button, our language and reflection whether it be in the car with your girlfriend or in the coffee shop with your friends. That's what we make use of. That's what belief silences and abuses. And we do so by giving birth to these 4 kinds of questions, or 2 kinds of questions, about belief and about understanding. Become pregnant with a question, nurture a question, develop a question, hold on to the question. To carry a question is to be on a quest.
We definitely are not born.
Quest music.
No, you're not the one that's mentally unwell. You're brave. You are crossing into new boundaries.
Allows us to cross into new boundaries. Be brave as we carry it. So it's all about midwifery, or becoming philosophically pregnant as we read and do dreams and reflect in the ways that we're doing. So this last part of the text seems to be giving us more information about what it means to be pregnant. We've got Joseph saying, I don't know. I don't like not knowing. I want to give birth. I hope to know. I trust that it's knowable, and I push these questions. I do something. I ask them. I do something with these questions. And here is Aaliyah saying, yeah, here's what it's like to be philosophically pregnant. I pop them on my boyfriend in the car over, even if he's a dick, a believer. I wonder why I can't. So I add to my question. It's not just a question about reality. It's, if I experience everything as mind, why can't I recognize that? I get an answer, only it returns with greater force when I realize it's stupid. It's almost as if the question has her. Now, this is something we have to learn about, because this is what we have to recognize in ourselves and develop in ourselves. This is the learning. This is the spiritual art. This is the human game. Philosophically pregnant. The 2 classes of questions. About our problems or beliefs, and about understanding these. Knowing and experience and understanding together. Recognize when I'm happy, but they come back. Good. And also, as you return to win the World Cup, your recognition of all of these, of the aspects of being pregnant, of what it's like, you can recognize in others as you function as a midwife of others yourself. Coach the football team. Upgrade from teacher to guru. Fuck. Whoops.
That's insane. Like, you need help. There's no help, actually. You need a straitjacket.
Oh my goodness. I need a straitjacket because I pushed the wrong button. Oh my goodness.
I might have dreamt this.
And maybe I dreamt it. What?
Freaks.
Oh my goodness. All right. So it returns with greater force when I realize the answer didn't work, or it was stupid. Harry. See what I mean? She tried it out on me. It's nothing but a logical paradox. There's nothing to it. Sounds like someone who did philosophy at university. Love of opinions, philodoxia, academic philosophy. It's just a logical paradox. Blah. That sounds like something that some professor would tell a student to, because he was ignorant. Joseph. If everything you experience is in your mind, you want to know why you can't recognize that it is in your mind, right? What is he trying to do? Clarify the question, nail it down. Notice, it's posed as a question. The dialectic is the art of asking question. What's the question? You want to know why you can't recognize that it's in your mind. Did she say in? I don't remember her saying in. That's why it's important to pay attention to the words people use. And this is why it's important to ask a question, because she can say, nope. She can say,
You're a little bitch ass baby.
you're a little bitch ass baby. That's a bit harsh, but she can say, nope. Why can't I recognize it is all, not in mind, but it is all mind? That's her puzzle. If it's in my mind, it's got to be mind stuff. And if it's seen by the mind, why can't I recognize the whole thing as mind? So it's mind stuff. The same thing that it's the stuff, the same thing that it is as the object, is also the viewer. It's mind minding mind, you might say. Mind is the one grasping it, and what's being grasped is mind stuff. So it's all mind. Why can't I recognize the whole thing as mind? Asks Aaliyah. Joseph says, it must be because you believe mind is something else. Here we see the key role that belief plays. If everything you've experienced is taken in through the senses, but is ultimately put together in mind, it's all mind stuff, and the thing grasping it is mind, the issue must be you are carrying a false belief about what mind is, because that's mind. You're looking at it. Well, it's also doing the looking. You must be carrying a false belief about what mind is that is different from what you're experiencing, causing you not to be able to recognize what's there to be seen. The influence of belief projecting its false beliefs, its false images, that blocks your question, your enlightenment experience, your development of understanding, your growth, your winning of the World Cup of the soul. It must be because you believe the mind is something else, says Joseph. Leah says, you're stuck? Yes, again, I don't like my answer. It seems hollow. Mine too. It wasn't sufficient to give birth to a philosophical pregnancy. Yes, and my question seems hollow too. My answer seems hollow as well. Harry says, then we all agree on something. What do you know? Well, not you, Harry. You've left the game in favor of loyalty to your stupid ass beliefs. Joseph, well, it looks like you have to excuse me, says Joseph. I see Sophronicus. There are a few things I want to talk to him about before some other people come and get him into a talk. It reminds me of hanging out with the author of this book. What's the talk going to be on? Yeah, says Aaliyah. We may owe him a coffee. Well, that means we drink coffee if we hear that. We may owe him a coffee, says Aaliyah. So what's he going to talk about? We'll finish the book. He has been talking about the kind of understanding that philosophical midwifery brings about. I think Sophronicus wants to counter the idea that understanding is like a bunch of roses. or like a friendly fireside chat over coffee. I'm out of coffee. He has been saying that understanding is really threatening and disruptive to the many. Well, as Reeve pointed out, the supporters will get fanatically angry at you. Understanding is threatening and disruptive to the many. The quest for understanding the self, he argues, surfaces a distrust of the process of philosophical midwifery. Holy fuck beans. Highlight that. Because it awakens the dreaded sense of the unknown and brings us face to face with the fear of losing control, since none of us welcomes fundamental challenges to our lives. It takes a special kind of person who seeks and welcomes this kind of fundamental challenge to your fundamental beliefs about the fundamental nature of self and reality. Which is why we don't have 50,000 viewers of the Hassan Pikers and the Asmund Golds of Twitch and YouTube. One reason. From what I have heard, says Joseph, he is going to continue this theme for a while because there are some of us that want him to discuss how to manage this crisis. So this is, of course, the one of the great puzzles of the channel. So, this kind of understanding challenges everyone. We've seen we have to go through the question about understanding with the question of belief, mastering the logos and the pathologos, because human problems, the pathologos, belief, are the cause of all the sadism, all the injustice, all of the millions or billions of innocent lives being killed. It's even more powerful than enlightenment. Even gurus have their problems. Well, Eastern ones. Experience-based ones, not understanding-based ones. It is a powerful force. And what we are learning is, well, as people's beliefs are challenged, like Harry in the book, they fight back in every way they can to defend what they think is real, or good, or needed. And understanding, this kind of understanding, the proper, actual understanding, dianoia, not understanding how many beans there are in China, but true understanding, threatens all beliefs in principle, because it's through understanding we can recognize the cause of all human problems, injustice, and sadism. It is belief. Therefore, that is threatening to everyone. And only the absolute best kinds of people can recognize that and stay in the game. Even the people who love understanding the most, who love truth the most, and have the best character, will be challenged. There'll be a point where they'll say, screw this, or not my beliefs, or not all beliefs, or something of that nature, or that's impolite, or un-American, or anti-Semitic, or woke, or some bullshit like that, to demonize the very activity of philosophical midwifery and true understanding, dianoia. That's why we stay in the game. We recognize those counterattacks, and we have a place for them within the map. As we continue to read, we get insights and puzzles. We're learning about understanding as a whole. We're learning about belief itself, especially when we read the Orange Book on the pathologos and midwifery. But our specific false beliefs are surfaced not in the book itself, but in those blocks, in those challenges, in what makes it not a friendly fireside chat, but a, what do you say? It's not a bunch of roses, it's threatening and disruptive to us. Those things in the true game we look for and welcome not as true, but as an analogical reflection of our specific false beliefs that we are specifically here to address. And unless you're in the game properly, with integrity, like we said when we pick our football team, we want those who love to play. Unless you're loving to play and wanting to do so with excellence, maxing, not looks maxing, but maxing the game.
Come on, baby.
What? Come on, baby.
Just popped a perky, now I'm kirky.
Oh, you popped a kirky. Okay, perky. Okay,
A massive library of spank material.
All right, calm down, all of you. Unless you love the game and you're doing it with integrity, well, you'll fight back. We killed Socrates for telling us all of this. It's the most important and the most challenging, what we do here. That's why we have to recognize that and celebrate it. If you are reading it anyway, if you're open anyway, even though you don't like it, even though you disagree with it, even though whatever, but you're still in it, then you have to recognize you're doing very, very well. So, hooray for all of you.
Come on, baby.
Come on, baby, to all of you.
That's funny.
That's kind of funny.
I guess UFOs might be Jesus.
I don't know if UFOs are Jesus, though. So, that's the conversation they're going to have. It's threatening and disruptive. It's not a bunch of roses or a friendly fireside chat over coffee. It's the most significant. And as someone who's been singing this song for a very long time, yeah. Of all of the people I've encountered in all of my life, only a handful of people have been open and curious to this kind of thing. And even those people, well, found it very challenging and eventually gave up or ran away or shut down the conversation or something like that. They hit their block. Of the people still listening to me, well, I guess if you're watching this, then you're one of them. So you're in a very rare class, in my experience. To not only be open to it, but to keep going and seek this yourself and want to win the World Cup of your soul and pass it on to others. So, it seems like that's going to be the conversation. It seems like an important one because there are some of us that want to know how to manage that crisis, which has been the theme of this whole channel. That is, it's not just about truth, it's about truth and humanness. It's all well and good to say, well, here's the meaning of life. We wrote it on the board, it's lovely. We've even used the group stages and all the way to the semi-finals and the World Cup. We've even used the World Cup as an analogy, make it easier for you to, more fun to think about. Great. Who cares? Who's listening? And those who listen, who are going to pay attention? Who's going to try it? We can put an end to all war and fucking starvation and exploitation just by understanding this map. Simple map. So what if people don't listen? Not only don't listen, but actively fight against it. How many people are willing to go through what he was just described? Go through facing the dreaded sense of the unknown. Becoming face to face with our fear of losing control. You're not in control. You've been holding on to an illusion of control as you've been doing harm to your own development because your sense of control is a loyalty to a way of being based on your false beliefs. You've been holding on to something that's been hurting you, but it's the devil you know. Who's willing to let go to discover something new? And who's open to welcoming fundamental changes to their lives? Very, very few. But it's important. It's necessary for our species to survive Armageddon and extinction that we're facing right now. To the extent people do not wake up to realize the nature of belief and understanding and the human movement from one to the other. But also people we care about. Doesn't it suck that there are so many innocent people being tortured by those representing belief as authority? But also your own soul. This game, as Joseph has been saying, can you find others to play with? Well, I'm not going to go back. I can't remember the actual. But in the book, he said a few times, find others to play with. Wouldn't this be more fun if everyone was playing? Shouldn't we be teaching the nature of beliefs and midwifery in school? And the nature of understanding and the logos in school? And dream analysis? So, in terms of our species, in terms of our society, in terms of our relationships, and in terms of your soul, it's much better to have people to play with. And if our mastery involves sharing it with others, midwifing others, doing dream analysis with others, sharing understanding and asking these questions of others, then we need those others. So on every level, we have to recognize not only the truth, but how do we communicate it artfully? That's the essence of this channel. For what, 2 years or however long I've been streaming, I've been trying my best to learn how to do so more artfully and with more sound drops that are funny.
I'm just thinking about being hot.
Like Emma's thinking about being hot.
Everybody should love sluts. I love sluts.
Which is good because we should love sluts.
Honestly, on the real, I say stuff like that because I'm cool.
Because I'm cool as well. But that's the issue. So it's now I'm kind of disappointed that there isn't a sequel written by the author. I'd love to hear that speech or that talk by Sophronicus. And is it all relative to? Anyway, super, super important. Let's keep going. Some of us who want to discuss how do we manage that crisis, the human problem, beliefs counterattack to understanding, or the war on the mind, fought by belief against understanding. Harry says, something insightful, no doubt. Let's see. There's a guy who warns against a disease he spreads. Fuck you, Harry.
Why'd the woman on the screen not have perfect laugh for me get horny? Why?
I don't know. I can't answer that question.
I'm so unsettled. I am so unsettled.
Okay. All of you calm down.
I might have dreamt this.
All right. Here's a guy who warns against a disease he spreads. What's he gonna do? Call those who disagree with him nuts? We'll have another phony term like homophobia, won't we? What will he call us? What name will he bring up? Leah says. Oh, I know what he can call it. What I'd call it. Cogniphobia. That's cool, actually, yeah. Cogniphobia. It's the fear of knowing. Wow.
Come on, baby.
Come on, baby. I'd like to think he may be right. Say, Joseph, how far do you think understanding can reach? Could it become our own brand of yoga or shamanism? Good thing we've been doing our review because before we came back to that, because this serves as a confirmation of everything we've been doing. So we've taken 2 weeks of episodes over like 3-week period because I've had breaks in building this map. This map of the intellectual method, tradition, the spiritual method, the evolutionary method, educational method, have I said that one? Our human purpose. And after doing that reflection, bringing it all together and pushing the implication, just like Harry said, what did he say? I have a question. I wonder about it. Aliyah says, I have answers to see if they work, but then I push the implications of that question. I push these questions. We've come to the conclusion, well, this philodainoia that challenges everyone and only the best human beings seem to be open to playing it, is the paradigm or the model, not just of thinking and learning, evolution, it's the model of enlightenment, spirituality. So therefore, yoga means method to join, yolk, like a yolk of an egg, method to join with enlightenment. Therefore, could it become our own brand of yoga or shamanism? Hooray, yes. How does your boy feel about that? Harry says, the height of the absurd is when the impotent believe they are pregnant. Fuck you, Harry.
Unbelievable sluts these days.
Yes, unbelievable sluts these days will be very pregnant, actually.
You've been a bad little girl and you're getting a vigorous
Spanking right now?
Good, give him a spanking.
This guy needs a soundboard.
Way ahead of you. Fuck you, Harry. Joseph says, I've wondered about that too. I don't know. Not wondering about Harry's bullshit. Wondering about, is this a brand of yoga? We would say, well, it's not a brand, it's the standard. In fact, we could use this standard to judge. Well, using the whole theme of the book, by understanding the model or the why this is the spiritual tradition for all people, all humans, all cultures, all species who have the capacity for language and reflection, all times, all multiverses, that's the greater sameness or the whole or the model. Therefore, all other yogas or spiritual traditions or ways of being, even religious or MAGA or whatever, every other way of being would be the differences in the physical world of becoming of the lesser. Just as the activity of the whole, let's use the word activity and not aspects here. Oops. The activity of the model is the understanding, and understanding being the activity, the model being that experience of knowing. Understanding bringing us to that whole, the greater sameness. That's true for everyone. That's why it's an art. We can therefore learn philosophical midwifery in the dialectic, learn how to use analogy, learn these self terms. Because, and we can therefore relate it to the differences. Whereas everyone else, How far did those spiritual dudes talking about karma enlightenment get? How far did those Christians get in listening to Paul counterattacking Jesus? How far did the Jews get? How far did the Mormons get with their magic gooning underpants?
Goons of gooners.
How far did this galaxy, this species in this other galaxy get? How far did the Gloop Glorps get? How far did the Hellenics get? How far did Socrates get? How far did Plato get? That would be the functioning of expertise. The greater sameness of the model and its different aspects or activities applied to dealing with the lesser kind of differences from that model. So we would take everything, which is the whole point of the text, because Harry is claiming my lesser sameness, imitation of believers, makes me a fucking expert. That's what I learned at philosophy class at university, because every philosophy class I've ever seen, other than the one being taught at Golden West College by this specific philosopher, has been this: the love of belief, or as Socrates calls it, philodoxia, teaching debate, or as Socrates calls it, philonikos, the love of fighting. That's our stage of ignorance. Our stage of ignorance. See how this map works to just put the pieces together? Isn't it great? Aren't we having the good time?
Would you like your pudding?
Yeah, I would like some pudding.
You're beautiful and everybody loves you.
Yes, that could be true.
And she spit on him also.
What? So because we've reflected on the conversation that that Joseph hasn't done yet, we can answer that question. Meaning, if you were to do a sequel, which would be your way of teaching others and adding to the tradition, which we've read today is our purpose, maybe Joseph can reflect on the experience, which is the whole game. This whole idea of having an experience, even an enlightenment experience of the whole, doesn't fix you, doesn't change you, doesn't last. It's our ousia with logos. It's our reflection on our experiences that change us. This whole conversation has been an experience. Therefore, as you write the sequel, you could have Joseph reflect on this experience, or have reflected on that experience prior to your coffee shop 2, Electric Boogaloo, where they meet up again for a talk. And Joseph, it could start with Joseph saying, hey, you know that question we finished with, which was, could this philodianoia, love of understanding, be a brand of yoga? The answer is no. It's not a brand. It is the yoga. It's the model or sameness or standard or principle of yoga. All other ones would be differences that we could hierarchically rank, not the prejudice hierarchy of belief, but the true hierarchy of stages of human development within the logos and pathologos and dream analysis, freedom of pathologos, mastery of the logos, and then on to the self-logos. That's the real hierarchy that is bastardized by its distorted imitation in belief. It's not men are best and women are less. Horseshit of religion, conservatism, and capitalism. Fuck that. Fuck that right off.
Just shut up.
Just shut up to those people.
You have the brain of a child if you think that.
And you have the brain of a child if you think that.
They're all a bunch of weirdos and perverts.
And they are a bunch of weirdos and perverts. That's why they use it, to play out their perversions. This is the hierarchy. Stages of human development, or philosophical pregnancy, and philosophical mastery of philosophical midwifery. So it seems Is that fun?
Spit on me.
No, not that sort of fun.
Be a reasonable gooner.
Be a reasonable gooner, Emma. All right. So, could it be our own branch or could it be the standard? Joseph says, I've wondered about that too. I don't know. As I said, I have to go. As for our talk, I think we only opened the discussion on these things, which sounds like someone's being asked to do a sequel. That's you, maybe. Come on, baby.
That was the wrong answer. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Oh no, I shouldn't have said come on,
I
baby.
would scoop the moon in a cup.
Butt to butt.
What? Hey, we just open up the discussion on these things. Whoops, where are we? If you two are around again in your sequel and care to go over this, we can take another look at it. It was good seeing you again, Harry. And you too, Aaliyah. Maybe I can hear of your travels another time, Harry. Oh, that's right. Remember the book started with, after I left that philosophical college in San Francisco, I traveled around the world. And you guys just stayed here thinking about things. Don't you want to hear the crazy opinions and images and beliefs that I've seen around the world? And the answer is no. No, not interested. Who cares? It was good seeing you, Harry. Maybe I'll hear of your travels another time, Harry. Aaliyah says. Well, I'll look forward to going back into it. Discussion. Thanks for the exchange. Harry, do you want to meet again and go into this further? Harry says, I'll have to give it some thought. Maybe. Joseph, see you around. Say, Aaliyah, wouldn't you say that Joseph is walking off and ducking out of a real problem? I think maybe you threw him a bone he can chomp on. Well, have you had enough? Seen enough? Are you ready to leave now? No, Harry. I'm not anxious to leave. I think I'm going to stay around here for a while and have a cappuccino. Not coffee. Care to join me? No, I'll be going along. See you around, maybe. I thought they were together. Maybe they're breaking up. Are they breaking up? Hooray if they do. I got the impression that they were together. Maybe this is their breakup. Okay, so everything we've been learning about analogy and metaphor, what's the significance of cappuccino, not coffee? Why it stands out? Why? Why is that the ending? What does it mean that she's not anxious to leave? Leave what? The conversation? The game? This reincarnation? Has she not done her work yet? What does she mean about staying here a while? The coffee shop? Is that where the conversation that Sophronicus is going to have is going to happen? Or does she mean like in the same way Harry traveled around the world to see different things, whereas Joseph and those who studied with Sophronicus at Golden West hung around these kinds of coffee shops and had these conversations? Is she changing her way of being? She'd rather hang out in this kind of a way than go off and see the pretty shapes and colors. I don't know. But it is a puzzle. It's a weird ending, isn't it? Considering everything we've seen about the nature of human problems, prejudice, the lesser claiming expertise, imitating the greater. belief functioning in opposition to understanding while cosplaying understanding is the nature of all human problems. A strange way of ending, considering we have, in reflecting on this conversation, developed a wisdom map. Does this ending give you a bone to chew on? Is this a kind of spirituality? How do we share this, considering it's the most challenging thing anyone can go through, but the most important and meaningful and beneficial? What's the role of coffee being played? Hey, cogniphobia, the fear of knowing. Is that what all human beings suffer from? Except for the very best of us? And only after having been in this game for a while and gone through this? What's the role of dreams? Why cappuccino and not coffee? Were they in a relationship? Is he breaking up? I felt like they were in a relationship. Maybe that was maybe I was misreading that. Maybe they were and they're breaking up. Or maybe they're just in another fight. Maybe they could have been in a relationship because they were very familiar with each other, weren't they? They had old problems. Lots of things to wonder about for next time. I hope you're having fun. I hope this big map has been helpful. I hope the last couple of weeks where we've done a lot of reflection on everything we've learned to end up with that map has been significant. That map ain't going to mean much unless you've gone through all of the different stages of reflection we went through. But as a result of having gone through it, worth having. Are you curious? How do we share this? That's been a puzzle I've been wondering about my whole life. Normally, when I try and share this, I'm met with fierce resistance. Only a few people have remained open and curious. And by a few, I mean I can count them on one hand with having fingers left over. But maybe the times are changing. And we've had people who've been popping in and out over the course of this series and the course of the channel. How are you going with sharing it? Now, we finished the dialogue with these questions, but we have questions for our reflection next time. And then we have part 4 on analogy. So good thing we've been doing all this work to see the significance of analogy. So before we get into those questions, maybe you can find your own questions. Hey, what comes up for you? Has this ending ended with you becoming philosophically pregnant in some way? And if you want to share your thoughts and questions and puzzles, feel free to follow along on Twitch. You can join the Discord and chat and share things there. If you want to buy me a coffee or a cappuccino, there is a link below where you can donate, and you can find a link to the text below as well. So, have fun chewing on them bones of questions. See if there are any questions that come up, value them. See if there are any objections. Even the, what do we say? The cogniphobia. See if any cogniphobia arises. See if any distrust, fear, anything that says that this is threatening disruption comes up, that this is threatening and disruptive and you should give it up. any questioning of the process itself, write them down. So see if any questions and wonder comes up, and see if any counterattacks come up, and value both. Don't listen to the problems. They're not the counterattacks. They're not literal, but write them down because they'll be useful in your dream analysis and your midwifery sessions. They are analogous messages to give you, they're the footprints and clues of your puzzle to solve. But also value your curiosity. Value the thoughts that come up that are curious or insightful or about a puzzle. Those are the two kinds of questions. In fact, we should even simplify this map, because we do have the oh goodness, hang on. We do have the four kinds of questions here, but ultimately there are two, aren't there? A question about understanding, or the logos, and a question so messy. Jesus.
Calm your fucking tits.
All right, I'll calm my tits. Question about your beliefs or pathologos. Those are the two big ones. So, keep an eye out for those questions and their associated states of mind, or even, back to here, those questions, those associated states of mind, and maybe even the dramas or daydreams or night dreams or fantasies that follow either of those kinds of questions. Let's take the negative. Oh, don't do this. This is stupid. Or you're not good enough. What's that feel like as a state of mind or simile? How does that play out in your allegory? Well, if I did listen, then I'd be like this, and then this would happen, and this would happen, and my parents would say this, and then my pastor would say this, and then the thing itself, the state of mind, how it plays out dramatically or allegory, and how does it end? Pay attention to how it ends. Is it a failure? Do you end up, what kind of a failure do you end up in? Do you end up in a situation like you have before? A is to B is A is to B, like a redundant cycle? Do you end up imitating someone else from your past? Or, as you contemplate the higher kind of question about understanding, where does that end? Do you end up functioning in a higher kind of way, more authentically yourself, being a teacher or passing on or functioning in a high way, but also in your own way? Notice the anagogic or upward moving analogy isn't A is to B as exactly the same, it's B is to C. You're teaching in your own way. You have your own style, your own way of being that you can contribute to the tradition. So keep an eye out for those, how it plays out, and recognize, value the higher kind, and become curious about the lower kind, and keep an eye out for both. And then bring both kinds of puzzles with you into the next one. I hope to see you then. And I hope you're having fun. And I hope you're puzzled.